Hello and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because, honestly, we are about to look at something truly profound. We're going to deconstruct a piece of text that is incredibly dense, vastly impactful, and, frankly, challenges pretty much everything we're taught about how to work and how to live. Today, we're digging into the sovereignty of duty over desire. It's essentially a massive, overarching philosophy of action compressed into just 45 words. Now, my goal here is to guide you through this source material step by step. We're going to pull apart these sentences, look at the actual mechanisms inside them, and really understand how they fit back together to create a completely different way of interacting with the world.
Okay, here is the complete text we'll be analyzing today. I'm going to read this, and I just want you to let the gravity of these words sink in for a second. You have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. It's heavy, isn't it? It feels almost entirely counterintuitive to our modern, outcome-obsessed minds.
Section 1. The sovereignty of duty. Okay, let's dive right into this. To really grasp the magnitude of this philosophy, we have to treat this text almost like a finely crafted puzzle, where every single clause is doing a very specific job. To solve this puzzle, we're going to break this single paragraph down into 4 distinct philosophical mandates. First, we'll look at the right to act. Second, relinquishing the fruits. Third, surrendering control. And finally, step 4, rejecting apathy. By doing this sort of micro to macro deconstruction, we're going to uncover the absolute brilliance hiding inside these 45 words.
Starting with step 1, the right to act.
Before the text tells us what we cannot do, it establishes exactly what we can do with this incredibly short, punchy fragment, "You have a right to perform your prescribed duties." Now, notice the word right. It doesn't say you have a burden. It says you have a right. In a world that often feels totally chaotic and overwhelming, this is actually an incredibly empowering starting point. It grants you the agency to step into the arena and do the work that is uniquely yours to do.
But to fully utilize that right, we need to understand what the text actually means by prescribed duties. Basically, these are the specific actions, tasks, and responsibilities that an individual is meant to perform. Think of this as your role right now, wherever you are in your life. It might be your job, sure, but it could also be your role as a parent, a student, or a neighbor. Your prescribed duty is simply the work that sits squarely in front of you today, and the text guarantees your absolute right to execute that work to the very best of your ability.
Which brings us to step 2, relinquishing the fruits.
Right as we get comfortable with the idea of taking action, the text introduces a massive pivot. Just let this line sit with you for a second. But you are not entitled to the fruits of your actions. Wow, that is a jarring idea, right? Because we are entirely conditioned to believe in a transactional universe. I put in the effort, therefore I deserve the reward. But this text forcefully severs that connection. It completely strips away our entitlement to the outcome.
Let's make sure we define this metaphor clearly. The fruits of your actions are the results, the rewards, the praise, the financial gain, or any of the specific outcomes generated by the duties you just performed. The text is literally telling us that while the action belongs to us, the fruit does not. And if you think about it, how much of our daily anxiety comes from obsessing over these very fruits? By telling us we aren't entitled to them, the text is actually offering a radical, almost shocking form of psychological relief.
Now, what's really interesting about this is the visual tension it creates. Imagine a fundamental, totally impenetrable wall between the action and the outcome. You've got your prescribed duties, the effort, the sweat, the late nights. And then, completely walled off from that, you have the fruits, the reward. Your jurisdiction, your sovereignty exists only in the realm of action. The exact second the action is completed, it crosses over into a realm where you have zero entitlement. It fundamentally rewrites the physics of how we value our own work.
Let's move to step 3, the illusion of control.
So if we aren't entitled to the outcome, what exactly is our relationship to the results we see out there in the world? Let's isolate this next bold fragment. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results. Talk about the ultimate ego check. It is entirely human nature to look at a massive success and say, "Yep, I did that. I am the reason that happened." The text explicitly forbids this. It forces us to really chew on the concept of surrendering our ego. Because the truth is, even if you perform your duty perfectly, countless external variables, timing, the environment, other people, pure luck, are actually generating that final result.
And this brilliantly illustrates why we have to draw a hard line between reality and illusion. There is the reality of doing the activity, and then there's the illusion of being the ultimate cause of the result. The text is warning us that conflating these two things is a direct ticket to suffering. Think about it. If you believe you are the absolute cause of a good result, you become totally arrogant. If you believe you are the absolute cause of a bad result, you are crushed. Mentally separating the activity from the ultimate cause is what protects your mind.
Finally, step 4, the trap of apathy.
But human nature being what it is, if we accept that we have no entitlement to the fruit and no control as the ultimate cause, we face a very natural, very dangerous pitfall. This brings us to the final warning from the excerpt, and it's absolutely crucial. And never be attached to not doing your duty. If I tell you that you must work incredibly hard, but you can't demand the reward, and you can't even claim you caused the outcome, what's your immediate reflex? It's probably to throw your hands up and ask, well then why try at all? The text anticipates this exact psychological reaction. It actively warns against letting your detachment from outcomes accidentally curdle into just giving up entirely. You are not allowed to be apathetic. We have to balance these two massive extremes. You have the first trap, obsessing over results. We know the text rejects that. But then you have the second trap, apathy, or just not doing your duty at all. The text rejects that too. What we are left with is an incredibly narrow, perfectly balanced path that we are expected to walk. We have to be intensely, fiercely committed to the action itself while maintaining total indifference to the reward. We act not for the fruit, but simply because the action itself is our duty.
So let's revisit the full text one more time. Notice how entirely differently these words read to you now? So the crucial point is how beautifully these four mandates balance each other out to create a unified theory of action. You act with vigor because it is your right. You remain peaceful because you demand no fruit. You remain humble because